for 24 hours straight is hard enough on its own, but when you stay awake for 24 hours with the sole purpose of reading as many books as you possibly can, it just makes everything so much harder. And yet, Lexi and I thought that this was going to be a good idea, and in hindsight, I think it was, but it was also exhausting. So we decided to challenge ourselves. Lexi came over to my house, and for 24 hours, we stayed awake and read as many books as we possibly could within that span of time. We obviously had to fuel ourselves with coffee, with snacks, and just keeping ourselves moving a little bit, because sitting and reading for 24 hours is so difficult. But we vlogged it all. We documented all of the time, all the books we were reading, what was going on, and how we were keeping ourselves awake. And now you get an inside look at everything that happened during those 24 hours. Let's roll that tape.
It's 4 o'clock, which on most days would mean that it's time to roll over and go back to sleep. But for today, it's time to get up and it's time to start reading. God, this lamp is so bright. Good morning, Kiara. Ready to join the party? Good morning. It's like 4:30, so it's time to start reading, I guess. And instead of starting with one of the many books that I actually put a stack together for, I'm gonna start with my Kindle and I'm going to read The One by John Mars, because I started this like 3 weeks ago and I didn't get past like 5%. So I'm gonna start over and we are going to focus on it today, because last time my problem was not being able to focus. So I'm gonna do ebook and audio, and we're gonna find out what all the excitement is about for this book. So I'm going to start here. Figure I will start off with like a thriller to get me in, and then we'll see where the rest of this day goes. I guess we'll start reading now. Bye. It's 6:30 and I want to go to sleep, but I'm only like not even 50% into my book, so I can't do that. And also I can't sleep for 24 hours, so that's great. But on the plus side, I am almost 50% into The One, and so far it feels like not a lot's happening, but that's because there's a lot of characters being introduced and they're all just like going through the motion of like what the book is about, which is a DNA match that is supposed to match you with like your soulmate. And so we're following a bunch of different characters who are in different like phases of life and are all doing this DNA test and finding out what they are destined to be, who they are destined to be with. And so everybody's just got these like really different like places that they're coming from for it. And some of the most interesting ones, I mean, we have a married couple, or a couple that's about to get married, and they're like, oh, let's just see if we really are destined to be together. Spoiler alert, they're not. And so we're gonna see where they go and how, you know, things are gonna get complicated there. There's a man who's killing people, and so there's a serial killer in the mix, but I guess we're gonna find out who's matched with him. And one person figured out who their match is, and their match is dead. So things are not great on that front. But I still have plenty of book to go, and we're gonna see what else happens. I feel like things have to get like really messy at some point, and I'm just ready for it, because I need something to pick up to keep me going through this day. I still have like 2 hours of the audio left. Oh gosh, why did we do this? Why did we do this? Lexi, why did we do this?
Because I am dumb.
Anyway, time to jump back into reading and hope that I don't fall asleep. Only 2 hours in.
I'm on the Dunkin' app.
We will be going to Dunkin' soon, probably more than once today.
Oh yeah.
So stay tuned for all the coffee-fueled madness that is going to go down. Dunkin' has been acquired. Now to head back to keep reading.
And chug this.
Lexi, how many drinks did you get?
2. amazing. We also have some donuts and breakfast sandwiches, so we are ready to keep going for a couple more hours at least. It's been 7 hours and 30 minutes, and I just finished my first book, which means I am not doing as well as I thought I would. But I just finished the one, and I'm gonna be honest, I have no idea what I just listened to for the past like 7.5 hours. I think I'm giving this 3 stars because there were so many characters I could not follow them. So I ended up only listening on audio because I thought I could get the Kindle book and I couldn't. So I was just listening, and too many characters to follow. I had no idea what was going on with half of them. And because of that, I just did not feel attached to any one character or anything. Like, there were a couple of storylines that were more interesting, but mostly I just didn't care about any of them enough. I probably could have DNF'd it, and I probably wouldn't have regretted it. But I do think that some of the stories, the way that they ended up, were pretty fun. I definitely gasped a couple of times when I actually like realized what they were saying and what was happening. So like, that's good, but I did not love this. I'm very excited to move on to my next book. I don't even know what that's going to be yet, but I think I need to switch genres. So I think I'm going to switch gears to a fantasy romance. This is the Fairy Loot edition of The Darkness Within Us by Trisha Levenseller. I do not know anything about this, but I'm making it my goal to try to read my special editions a lot faster when I get them, because I really need to not hoard them without knowing what any of them are about. So I am going to read this one. I do have the audio from Libby, so hopefully this is going to go pretty quickly. But you'll notice behind me that all of my shelves are empty because Lexi's helping me to reorganize all my books, and she's definitely going to force me into getting rid of some of them, as I should get rid of some of them. So stay tuned for an update on that, because this is already a very long process and I'm sweating. So I will update you once I have completed the transformation of the library and have something to say about a book. Look at all the books, and Lexi, and all the books. This has been a disaster zone for the cats. They've had a field day jumping around these, but soon enough, they will go to the shelves. Hello? Oh, are you embarrassed? Somehow we have made it to the 12-hour mark. So we are halfway through our 24-hour reading adventure extravaganza. We are fading fast. It is a very long day, but progress has been made on many fronts. Reading, which was the main goal here, it's going a little slower than anticipated, but I am about 40% into The Darkness Within Us, and I'm having a really good time with this one. I started the audio by itself, and I was not paying attention at all. I made it like 60 seconds in, had no idea what was happening, so I restarted it with the physical, and now I'm loving it. I think it's a lot of fun. I think that the main character is hilarious. The situation that she has found herself in is really entertaining to see her navigate, because it is a 19-year-old girl who basically married a very old man who was on his deathbed, and she like nursed him like until he died. And then when he dies, she's like, great, I'm gonna inherit all of his money and it's gonna be great. I'm gonna be free and I'm gonna live my life the way I want. But then this guy shows up and is like, actually, I'm the heir to all of the money that you think you have. I'm gonna be the real Duke. And she's like,
I'm gonna prove you wrong there. And I just love her confidence because as a 19-year-old, she's really played herself to be like kind of ditzy and dumb. So everyone's really underestimating her. And then she's finally coming out of her shell and being her true self and being like, I'm not standing for this. I did not go through months of marriage to this horrible man just for my like life to be taken away from me again. So she's finally standing up for herself. And I just really love the like attitude that she has here. And now we're starting to see where this kind of rivalry is going to go because they very obviously do not get along because each of them is trying to make a claim on this money. And yeah, it's a very weird like dynamic, and I obviously know that there's going to end up being some sort of relationship between these two. And as of right now, it's like I don't know how we're going to get there, but I guess we will see. Other than the fact that everybody says how absolutely like drop dead gorgeous she is. And so that's obviously going to be a major factor, is that he's already like physically attracted to her because everybody is apparently. And I just think it's very entertaining. I think the main character is fun to, you know, be following around and kind of seeing how she responds to everything in her life. So I'm having a great time. I'm really excited to keep going, and I'm glad that I decided to read the physical copy as well as using audio because it is helping me get through this a lot faster, but also really actually comprehending everything. But I still have a lot of work to do because of redoing my bookshelves. We got all the books back on, but they're not organized at all. So that is a huge task to be taking on for the rest of today, is getting my bookshelves back to like, you know, some semi-organization, and then making sure the room doesn't look like a tornado swept through as it currently does. But other than that, it's been a great day, and I feel like we're gonna struggle for the second half. But we did this to ourselves, and you know what? We're gonna keep each other awake. I actually have this spray bottle that we use for the cats, and I don't know, maybe it'll come in handy if one of us starts to fall asleep.
I can use it for you.
I mean,
You brought it up.
we will have to see if the spray bottle has to come into play. We also might be making some snacks later that, you know, will hopefully fuel us a little bit. So we've got a long 12 hours to go.
Am I on?
Hey, Matt, what'd you bring us for dinner?
Good old Mountain Dew.
So what's for dinner?
Oh,
With the
Just
Mountain Dew.
Only Mountain Dew is allowed.
pizza.
Pizza! And leftover donuts. And pizza! Thanks.
Make me a pizza. You know what that's from? It's called. There's this computer game. It's called Zoom Beanies. I played it all the time. It was really the only game I was playing in school. Whenever we got your class or whatever, you got your stuff done. You play it in that computer game that you have available. And it was about like these little blue, like circular plush thingies. They all had their faces. Some of them had like one foot or three eyes or like one little hair. And they were cool, but there was a bunch of things you could do. And like they could cheat tasks and stuff. And you had to make pizza in this one. And there was just this one Zoom beanie who was like, and there was just this one Zoom beanie who was like, make me a pizza. And it was pretty cool.
Someone's always watching, wishing that she could come outside. But alas, I will not let that happen. But it is time for a book update because I just finished reading The Darkness Within Us by Trisha Levenseller. And honestly, I ended up really liking this book, and I'm debating giving it 5 stars, which I did not expect. I don't know, like I didn't expect it to be bad, but I definitely wouldn't have expected to want to give it 5 stars. But I feel like this book just was such a simple type of read. Once I was getting into it, I really liked the main character. I liked her progression, and I feel like she was a very strong lead, but the male lead was also someone that you could really, I don't want to say understand, but you could kind of root for him. And you know, I feel like there's a lot of times where I end up hating the male lead because somehow it's just written to make them seem really terrible. And I did not hate Eric's, I think that was his name. I already forget. It's been like 5 minutes and I've already forgotten everything, but I did not forget how much I liked reading this. I think that one of the things I really appreciate about this is that it's relatively clean. I don't think there's any spice at all. If I'm like, man, I tell you, my brain is like not working today, but I'm pretty sure that this is like pretty well clear. There's definitely some more like darker themes. I mean, she goes to a brothel, and her whole thing is like, once she is a widow, she basically wants to take a male mistress. Like, she literally says that, and that is, you know, a theme that she talks about quite a bit in this book, and I think it was great. I honestly love her self-confidence and like her desire to just be able to live the same way a man would if he was in her position, and I just love that. So with all that, plus the fact that their relationship just felt also very natural, a lot of the interactions felt believable, and I appreciate that a lot when I'm reading some sort of romance. The thing I didn't know going into this was what made this fantasy, because for a lot of the book it was just very much almost like a Regency type of romance because of her being a duchess, but there was a fantasy element that I did not see coming, and that's because I didn't read The Shadows Between Us, which was like the first book that technically is in this. It's not really, it is a series because it takes place in the same world, but it is with, our main character in here is Chrysantha, and The Shadows Between Us is about her sister Alessandra. So I definitely probably would have benefited from reading that one first, but I didn't, and I still ended up enjoying this one a lot. I probably will read the other one now because of how much I liked this, and I will probably read other books from this author because of it. But yeah, I really ended up liking this. Plus there was a bonus chapter in the Fairy Loot edition that was like so funny and so cute. I just feel like the dynamic here was amazing, and there were moments where I was like jaw dropped, like yes, or also nervous, scared. Oh my gosh. And I loved it. Like, that's the kind of feeling I want to get when I'm reading. So this was a lot of fun, and it was the perfect book to kind of get me through the middle of the day where like I was utterly exhausted, losing momentum, and this brought me back into it for sure. We are in the second half of the day, and it's starting to get dark out, but we did come outside to read and like relax outside. It's really beautiful tonight. The air is like the perfect temperature, like there's a slight chill, but with a blanket, it's perfect. It's absolutely wonderful. So we came outside to read, and I decided that the next one that I'm going to jump into is Baby X by Kira Pykoff. We started this in the car when we went to Dunkin', and then we continued it in the car when we went to Panera for lunch. And now we are 20% in, so I'm going to be picking up where we left off because I don't think we're leaving the house anymore tonight. And so I'm just going to pick up with, I have audio and physical, so I'm going to read this. I think Lexi's going to read it at some point a little bit later tonight, but for now I am going to jump into this. It is about basically a like sci-fi like world where basically they can choose traits for their like babies before they're born, or like they select them. It's like very bizarre, but this has multiple perspectives, so we're getting multiple characters' stories and how it all kind of coincides with this world, which is really interesting. So I'm excited to dive back into this and see where the rest of this book is going to go. It is going to be a long night. Midnight check-in time. I just finished my third book of the day. I am so exhausted. I've been a little bit delirious and losing my mind just a little bit, but I am still going. We have just over 4 hours left, and I have one more book that I'm going to try to squeeze in here. And to do so, I need to listen straight through, no stopping, because the audio is 10 hours. And I listen at 3 times speed. So I gotta push it, but I can do it. But before I tell you what that's gonna be, I did finish Baby X. I'm giving this 4 stars, I think. I'm gonna be honest, reading this with like half energy means there's a lot of things that I zoned out for and I missed some things. But the good thing about this book is by the end, I fully understood what was happening. I put the pieces together, even from some of the things I had missed, and I really like the twists and things that get revealed throughout this book. A lot of it I figured out. I kind of predicted things as it was going. It was very fun to do that. And as things were revealed, I was genuinely excited that I was correct. Like, yes, like it was just done really well. And I feel like the twists were just, they weren't out of nowhere, like you could see them coming, but the way they were done and written was still a very like momentous time, and I just think that was excellent. So I think the writing, everything was really, really good. The characters that we are following with their journey through DNA birthing things, it's very like messy, but I really like the angles that it takes, and I think it really is just, it's a lot. It's a lot. I was leaning towards 3.5 stars for a while, but by the end, I feel like it earned its way up to 4 stars. But on to my last book for today. I have the physical book from the library. My audiobook is due back in like 2 or 3 days to Libby, so I knew I had to put this one on for this weekend, but I'm going to be reading Just for the Summer by Abby Jimenez. I think this is my second book by her. I've meant to read other ones and I just haven't. I think I actually own 2 more that I just haven't read, but this one I got from the library, so I figured it was time to throw this in the mix. And I feel like this is probably a really good choice for my final book because it's a romance, and it's hopefully going to be a little bit easier to process as my brain deteriorates over the next 4 hours. And hopefully I don't need as much brain power to like, you know, get through this. So this is my goal. It's a 10-hour audio. I believe I can do it, but I'm going to have to push it. But this is my 4th book, so I'm hoping that I can get through that. Also, just a moment for the bookshelves that Lexi helped me to move around and reorganize. I love how this ended up turning out. I will inevitably end up moving some things around still because I have a pile of books that eventually I need to incorporate in here, and then the books that are like on my TBR currently are not on these shelves. So there's plenty more that's going to get moved around, but I'm like obsessed with how this turned out today. And we still have a lot of like cleaning up in this room to do, aka like moving my chair back into exactly where I'm sitting right now. So there's still some work to do, but that will be nice to kind of give us some physical activity to do when our bodies start failing us in an hour or 2 from now. So, okay, that's it. I'm going to put my headphones back in and start listening to Just for the Summer because I'm running out of time and I gotta push it. So I'll check back in later. Let's get these last 4 hours in. I truly do not know how we managed to do this, but we have made it to 4:30, and I am just not functioning anymore. My brain's been shut down. I finished my book at 4:17, and honestly, I'm very impressed because the whole time I was trying to calculate how much time was left on my audio, and it really looked like it was going to take me up to the very last minute. But the last portion of the audiobook was a Q&A, and I was like, you know what? I don't need to listen to this right now. So I finished a little bit earlier than anticipated, and I feel like I need to wait to share more opinions when I have more of like, you know, a functioning brain to have opinions. But all I can say right now is I loved this book. Like, I loved it so much. It got me through. It is the thing that got me through these last couple of hours. This gets a full 5 stars for me. It's probably going to be a favorite romance of this year. I loved both of our main characters in here, Emma and Justin, and I loved their relationship. I loved how it started. I loved how it progressed. I love how the book ended. I loved every single step of the way. And I just feel like this book tackles a lot of really good topics and concepts and things that are important to talk about, and it's handled really well and really beautifully. And oh my god, I just really loved this. I really loved this, and I finished it and I immediately turned to Lexi and I said, if I had more brain power right now and while reading this, I probably could have cried, but I don't think I'm capable of crying with this little energy. But that's how this book made me feel. So I absolutely loved it. It was such a good time. But I am exhausted. It is 4:44 right now as I am speaking, and I'm going to bed. I am gonna go to bed. I will check in a little bit later, like once I've had some sleep. And that's all I've got. I've got nothing else tonight, this morning. So anyway, good morning and good night.
So after 24 hours of reading, I was exhausted. We immediately went to sleep, and I was kind of dead to the world for the entire day following that whole adventure. I was a little bit delusional, and at one point I was like laying on the floor talking gibberish. I don't even know what I was saying. We were losing it. But like reading 4 books in 24 hours while also redoing my entire home library, like taking all the books off and moving the shelves around, putting everything back up and reorganizing those, as well as making sure that I stayed like hydrated and fed and, you know, paying a little bit of attention to my cats, hanging out with Lexi. Like we did so much this weekend, and I just feel like it was very, very full and busy. And I feel so accomplished, even though like my expectation was, oh, we're gonna read nonstop and I'm gonna get through like 6 or 7 books. No, what was I thinking? This is crazy. We're crazy. But it was so much fun, and we are already making plans for the next time we're gonna do this, because this definitely kickstarted some new ideas and just things to like spice it up a little bit, make things a little bit more interesting. And I don't know, we're gonna see where it goes. I'm not sure when this will happen again, because we definitely need a lot of time to recover, but this was a lot of fun and we will be doing it again at some point. If you have ideas or you want to help brainstorm things that we can incorporate into the next time we do this, leave a comment, let us know what you're thinking if you have ideas, because we have some that are brewing, but definitely open to some suggestion. If you have read any of the books that I read, then please let me know your thoughts on those. Obviously, I found 2 5-star reads this weekend and 2 3 to 4 stars. So like not a failure at all. Definitely a successful weekend. Make sure that you are subscribed to Lexi so that you can keep up with all her incredible content, because she also got through 4 books. She is a reading machine and has some incredible videos where she's talking about all of the books that she reads. If you like this video and you want to see more from me, please hit that subscribe button so that you don't miss out on any of the things I have coming up. But with that said, I want to thank you so much for watching this video, keeping up with all of the shenanigans from this 24-hour readathon, and I really hope that I will see you in the next video. Bye!